This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Hello and welcome back to Movie Review of the Day here on Place to Be Nation Pop Experience. I am Miranda and I'm the host for today. And I hear it. I already hear it. Yes, this is my third stop in this 6-movie, almost 7th franchise. I did not mean to take over, but here I am and I'm going to continue our journey through Scream Week. Today we're going to talk about Scream from 2022, which often referred to as Scream 5. And this title does just kind of circle right back to the beginning, so it's okay. It's kind of the point. One of the most interesting things about this movie is, well, the timing. We hadn't seen an installment since Scream 4 in 2011. That, of course, is an 11-year gap. And for horror, and especially this franchise, it's a very long pause. So when Scream came back in 2022, it wasn't just another sequel. It was stepping into a very different horror landscape than what had happened before. We're entering the era of requels. You heard me right. I did not say remake or sequel or reboot. I said a requel, which honestly, it is a reboot and a sequel. It's just squished together to hopefully make something more fantastic than what one of them could be on their own. Hopefully. So with this, there's an era of people wanting legacy characters, soft reboots, and nostalgia-driven storytelling. And this movie knows exactly what that is, and it talks about it openly, which, let's be honest, feels very on brand for Scream. If the original film was about horror rules and then later entries were about sequels and trilogies, then Scream 2022, aka Scream 5, is clearly about fandom. It's actually about toxic fandom, ownership, expectations, and the way the audience can both love and resent the things that they claim to protect. I honestly think that's where the movie is, rather, at its strongest, or why it's its strongest. It deeply understands that horror fans, myself included, have very strong opinions. We deeply care. We debate, we rank, and we even defend when some people don't understand why. Sometimes, though, that passion crosses into something even uglier, and it's to the point where people are literally willing to kill for a version of a franchise they think they deserve. Now, obviously, that's exaggerated for horror, but the commentary underneath it still feels very real, and that theme feels very current, very intentional, if you will. For the film itself, I think this one walks a very careful line. It introduces a new generation of characters, and that's always tricky in a franchise that is this established. You have to make the new characters interesting enough that we, the audience, care, but they're not so dominant that the legacy cast feels sidelined or put in the grave, if you will. Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette are slipping back into these roles, and it feels very natural. There's a comfort in all of us seeing them again, especially after such a long break. At the same time, the film gives space to these new characters to kind of carry the story forward, keep going. So Melissa Barrera carries a lot of emotional weight as Sam. Her storyline very directly ties into the legacy of the franchise. And that is a very big swing. It could have felt forced, but she plays it in a grounded and serious manner, which keeps it from tipping into melodrama. Jenna Ortega also absolutely stands out. From the opening scene alone, she sets the tone for the new era. There's something very controlled and believable about her performance that anchors the chaos that's around her. And of course, we have Jack Quaid, who brings that kind of easy charm that fits perfectly into a Scream movie. He feels natural in a very self-aware way that horror fan universe franchise kind of thrives in, or this one thrives in. That's what makes this installment work better than it actually could have. The new generation doesn't feel like placeholders. They feel like they actually belong in Woodsboro. And this is a balance that really isn't easy. For the most part, though, I think it works. The tone also feels closer to the original than Scream 3 did. The tension is definitely sharper, the violence way more direct, and the humor, while it is still there, it doesn't soften the danger. This one feels more controlled again. That opening sequence I mentioned before, fantastic, because Scream lives and dies by its opening. So it sets the tone in a smart way. It acknowledges the legacy of the franchise while updating it for a new audience, a new generation. So it says, we know what you expect. Now, let's adjust that. One of the things that I appreciate about Scream 5 is that it doesn't pretend nostalgia is automatically a good thing. Yes, it does use nostalgia, but it also questions it. It asks, what happens when people love something so much they think they own it? It is kind of about what happens when protecting a franchise becomes more important than letting it evolve. And that is sharp, and it was a relevant question. It feels very true to what Scream has always done, which is comment on horror while still being horror itself. For me, this one isn't quite the lightning in a bottle magic of the original that the first film is, because let's be honest, that first film is very hard to touch. But as a revival, as a modern continuation, it's very strong. It respects what came before it without feeling like this museum exhibit, like it's just on display, hoping that you'll love it. It lets the legacy cast have weight, but it understands at the same time that the story can't stay frozen in 1996 if you're going to continue. And after an 11-year gap, that's quite impressive. Listen, if Scream 3 felt like a franchise that was trying to wrap itself up, not quite well, Scream 2022 feels like a franchise that has decided it still has something to say and wants to move forward. That in itself is an interesting shift. It's aware, it's self-critical. It's not perfect, but it does feel very intentional. And yes, I did mention Scream 3 again, but that's because for over a decade, that's where the franchise stopped. But that's also why I didn't circle back to Scream 4 in the same way. It just didn't carry the weight of being the ending for over a decade. So while Scream 5 or Scream 2022, whichever you prefer to call it, does not replace the original for me, because let's be honest, very few movies can, it does still earn a place in the series, a respected one, and a place in my heart as well. This movie proves that sometimes a long pause isn't the ending, actually. It's just a reset, taking a deep breath and going, how do we go from here? So, ladies and gentlemen, that's today's movie review of the day on Place to Be Nation Experience. Just come back for one more day, one more surprise. Don't forget, we will cover Scream 6, leading up to the inevitable drop of Scream 7, which we hope you all go out and enjoy. And of course, I'm Miranda, and until next time, remember, the rules always change.
There's a black hole inside of me. I'm afraid of vacancy. Even just a touch is war. Drinking blood on the first day. We can never separate. Morning and the night before. She says, save yourself.